This is Dr. Weiss Coleman. This is Cataract Basics 5 of 7, filmed in 3D with the Ingenuity. This is Cortex removal. You know, on the previous videos, I've said you can divide cataract surgery down into 7 steps, Cortex being one of them. So be sure and watch the previous 4 videos and the ones that follow. So when I'm thinking about cortex removal, and I'm going to talk through this not as you're watching it on the screen for the first few cases. This is 10 random cases. This portion of the case takes 53 seconds on average if we break it down between these 10 random ones, and then we'll get down to narrating as the video is flowing towards the end, but it gives you 10 to watch, so there is some variety here. You know, the key to easy cortex removal is good hydrodissection. We talked about that in the hydrodissection video. Hopefully you had good hydrodissection on most of these cases. But I want to think about what the plan is, because I think that doing efficient cataract surgery that's repeatable and always time efficient is mainly about having a good plan and then executing the plan. So when I'm thinking about cortex removal, I'm thinking about it in quarters, the same way that I think about nucleus removal. Now, with the cortex, it doesn't always work out that way. With the nucleus, it doesn't either, but with more often than not, you can quarter it and it works out great. But with cortex, you know, you may get small pieces, you may get some big pieces. Ideally, we would take it in one piece in what Dr. Alan Crandall described as the hurricane motion, and he was an expert at this. I saw him operate a few times, and he could take it in one single fluid motion all the way around. I think that's ideal. I'm not that good yet. So I break it down into quarters in my mind. And I say I want to take a quarter, and then I want to start the next quarter not where open capsule is, not right adjacent to where I've just taken the cortex and cleared it, because I think that's an area of risk. That's where you've got capsule that can come forward. You really want to maximize your efficiency by being able to move fast in an area of safety and then slow down when you get to the last sliver of cortex. And I think that in my mind, I want to not take pizza slices, small pieces, and just pull them central. I want to move in an arc just under the anterior capsular leaflet, engage a large portion, and remove as much as possible at a time. If I could take it in, 2 pieces, that would be great. If I could take it in just 3 pieces, that would be great. If I could take it in a single piece, that would be even better. But in my mind, I'm thinking about quadrants when I go into the eye to get ready to remove cortex. So I feel like that's useful for me. And I feel like on the first 3 quadrants, you're starting at a point that there's not open capsule behind it. There's always cortex to engage before you're going to hit capsule. So that enables you to be a little heavier on the foot, move a little bit faster, and be more aggressive on the initial first 3 quadrants. And then we slow down for the last one because we've got open capsule in every direction. So I think that's the time to be careful to make sure that you don't poke a hole in it. So now we'll follow along with a few of the videos. And the other thing that I'm thinking about when removing the cortex is not just engaging it under the anterior capsular leaflet and then moving it central. I'm always pushing down, so it's a U-shaped motion. And if we think about the anatomy of the capsular bag, if we just pull it central, the anterior capsular leaflet has a lot of area of adhesion. You're not really pulling in the direction that the peel needs to happen. You want to push down initially, so that we're peeling it away from that anterior capsular leaflet. And then once you get the peel out to the equator, then you can pull it centrally, and then you pull it anterior. And as we're making that motion, as we're engaging, and then we're pushing down initially, and then pulling central after that, and then pulling anterior, we always want to be rotating our port facing up towards us. It's very difficult to grab posterior capsule when the port is facing up. Anterior, when you're looking down the bore of it. It's very easy to engage posterior capsule when the port is in any other location, even just tilted slightly, let's say 45 degrees, so you can still see in it, but you're not looking straight down the bore of it. You can still engage posterior capsule in that situation, but if you're looking directly down it, so it's facing directly anterior towards you, posterior capsule is very hard to engage, so I think that you can be heavier on the foot. You know, that's the time that you want to floor it. And anytime you can't look straight down the bore of it, you want to be a little bit lighter on the foot. And of course, always anticipating grabbing posterior capsule. And, if we see a wrinkle in the posterior capsule, we want to be ready to let off the foot immediately. On the last portions of the cortex removal, I'm really not keying on the cortex in my field of view. I'm really looking at the red reflex and watching for a wrinkle in the posterior capsule. So that's where your key is. A lot of times you can't see the capsule actually being grasped by the tip, but you can see the wrinkles that come from that. And that's what you want to be watching for. And if you engage it and it goes into the port where it doesn't come out just by letting off the foot, you need to be ready to reflux. And on the Alcon Centurion, that's a kick left. I'm not sure what it is on the other machines, and I think that it can be configured to a different position, but to me that's kick left. So you want to know where reflux is on your foot pedal and be ready to use it. If you engage the capsule, freeze. If it doesn't come out, let off the foot after you hold your position. If it doesn't come out on its own, be ready to reflux. So I think we're on case number about 5 here. This video series has been very interesting to me to break down the time that it takes to do each individual step of cataract surgery, and it's really helped me refine my own efficiency by watching these videos and determining where time can be saved. And on a side note, after watching it, I think really probably lens removal is where the most time could be saved if we could find a way to get around using viscoat, because removing it takes some serious time. Okay, so here we're getting the last quarter. We've taken approximately 3/4, and you can watch with my motion that I'm engaging, I'm pushing down, and I'm adding foot as I'm bringing it central, as I'm bringing it towards the central visual axis. Polishing the capsule is really about contact. It's not about IA, so you want to be gentle on the foot. I do switch to the polish mode for polishing the capsule, but I really think that I use very minimal foot and maximal rubbing of the cannula tip on the posterior capsule, and I think that's a safe way to do it also. It's probably worth noting that if you have a posterior polar cataract, the capsule can be pretty fragile, so I'd probably just yag those and do a minimal amount of polishing. Okay, so here on this case, we're taking our first quarter. Now we're moving to a place that we don't have open capsule behind us. We're moving straight across 180 degrees away. Taking that quarter. Now I'm taking subincisional. Now the last quarter, we need to slow down for this. So I'm engaging by moving in an arc and then pushing down. As we can see in this case, it doesn't always work out where we're getting even quarters, but it's usually something pretty close to that. So I think that's the plan, and if we execute the plan something like what we were thinking to begin with, then that's a win. Okay, so let's think about the plan. We're thinking in quarters, and I really don't care whether I go right or left, subincisional or distal. Some people really are nagged by the subincisional cortex. They like to take it first and get it out of the way. That's fair enough. If it really bothers you, you can get it first, but I think once you're confident that you're going to be able to get it, then that becomes relatively less important. So here we're taking the right nasal quadrant first, and I'm pushing down. So now I have approximately a quarter, maybe a little bit less that we've taken. We're getting some subincisional now. I think it's really just about what looks like it's easy to get. I take the low-hanging fruit first, always. And this one's a little stickier. This is probably a poor hydrodissection, making it more difficult to remove. But we're still using the same basic motion. We want to engage and push posterior. And here's a little bit of a bottom-up peel, and I think that's okay. Some people are very against a bottom-up peel, but sometimes that's the most efficient way to get it. I think just be careful with the posterior capsule, gentle with the foot, and if you're going to add foot, make sure you're looking down the bore of the IA tip, prior to adding foot. So now we have a fairly cantankerous last piece remaining, but Cortex supports other Cortex, so as you get pieces removed, it's going to be easier to remove the rest. It acts as a scaffold for itself. Hope this video was helpful. Be sure to watch the next one.